Hey guys, how's it going?
Thank you. How are you? Very good.
Good. Where are you guys at now?
We're in a small office upstairs from the Baldío Prep Kitchen and the
Okay,
Arcatierra commissary. It's like
okay.
a whole building with the operation from both projects.
Okay, so Baldio is and the Arcatiera offices are all in the same place.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
didn't realize that.
We share the same warehouse and production site, and it's very well located in terms of the geography of Mexico City and the roads. No, it's very
Hmm.
in the center of the city.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have the prep kitchen. We have a small fermentation lab, the cooling chamber, and here's where all the products from the Yarca Tierra network arrives. So
hmm.
yeah, it's a very efficient logistic, and we're I would say depends on the traffic, but no more than 10 minutes away from Valdio.
Okay. Oh, okay. So 10 minutes from Baldio. Okay, understood. All right, guys. So it's a pleasure to meet you. Lucio, I think I met you like 10 years ago or something. I went to the Chinampas with Osvaldo Oliva from Lorea. I was writing a story about him, and he was, buying produce from the Chinampas. And we went there. I'm pretty sure you were there. I'm pretty sure it was before Pablo was a part of it, but I'm fairly certain we met. And I like just now seeing your face, I'm almost like certain now.
I'm,
So
I'm sure. I'm sure
you
we've been.
probably don't remember me, but it's just like you've had millions of visitors at this point. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we met once years ago, and it blew my mind, like what you guys are doing there, and I've been watching how it's evolved over the years, and now with Baldio, and what you're
Yeah.
doing with the restaurant. It's really incredible. So I'm happy you guys are here and we're able to talk. So I mean, like very basically, I think we should just you know start off explaining what are the chinampas and why are they important.
Yeah, and hi, Lucio and Pablo from here, Juliana from rainy LA today. Uh, yeah, maybe in relation to that, or even before that, maybe a brief timeline of your projects, because there is Arca Tierra, there's the Chinampas that are the origin of everything, then Baldío, and how these platforms interact. Uh, we'll unpack that. But yeah, maybe to start with a brief timeline and maybe defining the chinampas for everyone that doesn't know what they are.
Of course, the first project started in 2009. It was we had with some friends. We had a store. We sold organic produce in Mexico City, and when we started looking for farmers, we came to Xochimilco and met another person who already had a business. He worked with farmers in Xochimilco, so we started sourcing from him with him from the farmers. But it turned out that this person was really buying from the big market, no, and lying to restaurants, and he wasn't a very honest person. So that first project was very short-lived. And then in 2011, we started Yolcan, like the predecessor of Arca Tierra, and we started farming ourselves, working with chinamperos, with farmers from Xochimilco, and then working with farmers from Hidalgo and Estado de Mexico, from states neighboring Mexico City. First of all, we started to source in Xochimilco and then in other places, and selling to restaurants. We were very lucky because the restaurant trend, like buying local and working with farmers, had began in Mexico City. So yeah, some chefs were very glad to find us, and they could source local produce and also tell the story about Xochimilco being such an important place in the city. So that gave us a kickstart. and some reputation, no, of working in a particular way with farmers. Then we started in 2014 with our CSA, with our boxes, also working with farmers in other parts of Mexico. Then in 2018, we started our nonprofit to improve our assistance to farmers in terms of capacity building, training, seed storage, seeds, and cultural activities. Then ARCA started with my brother in 2020. During the pandemic, we planned everything. And since Arca Tierra, we've grown a lot in all respects. Working with more farmers, distributing to more people. And then Baldío started 2024 in August, a bit more than a year ago. And it was built on the structure of Arca Tierra, all the farming network, but we had to also source meat, fish, grains, oil. So that was new to us. And it was built on Arca Tierra. My brother's experience in Café de Nadie, a bar in Mexico City, a wonderful bar, and Douglas McMaster's and Max McLean's experience in Silo in London. And yeah, that's pretty much the
Thank you. It's a great summary.
Okay, so I think what would be good is just for everyone out there to understand what exactly are the chinampas and why they are important.
The chinampas are these islands built on top of a wetland that sits in part of Mexico City. To understand the chinampas, we have to understand the geography of Mexico City. We're in an endorheic basin. No, it's a basin that doesn't have a natural outflow of water. So, sort of lakes were formed in wetland systems. And the southern lakes, Xochimilco and Chalco, are freshwater lakes. Well, Chalco doesn't exist anymore, no? So we don't know exactly when, but I think it's more than 2,000 years ago. The people from living next to the wetlands started building islands with organic matter, with plants, with mud. Started building these islands using all of the materials from the wetland to produce food. So not only agriculture, but also aquaculture, like crustaceans, fish, amphibians, hunting. So they created more life than there was before their intervention. And that's like farming the landscape, like how indigenous knowledge helps with its sensibility to read and to understand effectively and functionally, and also in terms of rituals and religion, the landscape. So nowadays, the chinampas are less than 10% of what they were in terms of extension of land, but they're still functional. Not a lot of farmers left. The city is growing on top of them. So if this trend continues, the chinampas will disappear. And it's very important to the city because they give us water. The aquifer is recharged thanks to the canals. Being a wetland is the terrestrial ecosystem that captures the most carbon, produces a lot of oxygen. It harbors 2% of the world's biodiversity, and it produces food, and it's also very important in terms of culture and heritage.
Yeah, and I think just to add up on Lucio's amazing explanation, the chinampas also are this reflection of what's going on not only in Mexico but worldwide regarding peasant farming. I mean, the chinampas are starting to be devoured by the city mainly because they're abandoned. and this abandonment of the farming practices is just something that's going on not only here,
Right.
and that shows us how forgotten peasant farming is, not only in Mexico but worldwide. And of course, it also teaches us these amazing things, as Lucio said, how humans can have a positive impact. When indigenous people, communities made, constructed, created the chinampas, they multiplied life. So it shows us how humans, we have this responsibility not only to live within nature or leave it alone, but also to guide it into this process of more complexity, and it's producing food while creating a beautiful system. And so yeah, the chinampas are in many ways this place inside Mexico City, because it's important to note that it's located not in the outskirts. It's like from the place we're sitting on and the prep center, we if you drive to the chinampas, you take like 35-40 minutes, so it's in the southern part. So it's a way to get outside the city, like to get into the chinampas and to realize the difference and the rock and the fracture there's between the rural and the urban. And yeah, it has so many lessons we can learn from the chinampas.
Yeah, like for me, it's just like such a perfect example of humans living within an ecosystem rather than dominating it, and just the profound impacts just that alone has just on a level of biodiversity and just the amount of food produced and all of these things. It's quite incredible, and it's like I travel a lot in South America, and I see things quite similar to this in some ways, and it's just it's so profound, and it should really be the standard of what guides us into the future, as opposed to just trying to pump as much food out of industrial farms and whatever all the time. At their height, like one question I have is like at their high point, how much food was actually being produced? Are there any like estimates?
We have the population number of
Okay.
the Aztec capital. So there were 200,000 inhabitants that were mostly fed by the Chinampa system. And the population in the basin at the height of the Aztec Empire was of 1 million. So
Okay.
the Chinampas was the most productive system of agriculture in Mesoamerica, like this part of the world in ancient cultures. So it was a fairly a big part of the food production.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And at right now, how much food is being produced there? Do you know, like the total?
We don't know exactly because it's
Okay.
very fragmented in the Chinampas.
Right.
Most of it goes to the big market, but it's in tons, no, like daily tons of different vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah, less than, I would say, less than 5% of the remaining chinampas are used to produce food in a regenerative way.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, no, I was thinking in terms of, so you mentioned something, Pablo, very interesting, which is how this system of agriculture helps us to understand what we can do for the planet and we as a part of a bigger organism. But then I think about this connection between urban and rural and people living in cities. And I think, I mean, apart from paying for these products, valuing them and help to spread the word, I guess, I am struggling with thinking why more people don't connect closely with this. I mean, it's obviously a matter of communication, having people like you doing this or people like us trying to, show what you're doing. But I wonder if like citizens the average citizen feels powerless because even when, yes, they are the wise communities, and we should learn from that. In a way, it's an asymmetrical connection, right? Like we citizens, or you, the average citizens, should learn and be illuminated by these wise people. But I think there has to be some empowering message to citizens so that they feel more valued too. And I think I'm not saying the motivation has to be like I am important. No, it's not that simple. But I don't know if you get what I'm like trying to
Yeah.
go to, because money cannot be the only connection, or just like giving value to these communities, because they are not going to become these communities. To some extent, they cannot adapt their lives, even if they understand them, right? So I'm just working on this connection in my mind between urban and rural, which is, obviously a constant challenge.
Yeah, that's like a huge subject and very deep things to talk about regarding it, because I think on one part you have this extremely efficient, almost invisible food production industrial system that everyone gives for granted, that it gives you food in supermarkets that are it's not as tasty or as nutritious as food, as real food. I hate the term, but natural food. But people don't care about it because they don't really have a point of comparison. Most of them, they just go to the supermarket and they buy whatever they see, and there's diversity all year round. But we know what's behind it. But it's not easy to see what's behind it because of this fracture between urban and rural. And there's also this part of you said people feel hopeless or powerless, sorry. And I think it's apathy as well. And I also think that the speech or discourse behind sustainability has failed a bit, in the way that it's shown a lot how we're standing on the precipice of the world, just the planet almost disappearing, and people get scared, and their response is this apathy, because they actually say, what I do, it's not going to have an impact. I don't like me as a person, I really don't matter that much. And it's exactly the opposite message we should be conveying. We should be saying there is a way out of this. It's not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. And there's hope and there's optimism. And I think that would have a much better, bigger impact than the other strategy. We all have been part of that strategy, but we need to change it because it does matter what you're doing as an individual. It's like every big change in society has come from a small community. It has started small. And we know that Arca Tierra will not save the Chinampas. We know it now. Lucio was saying yesterday, the day before yesterday, we had a big event, dinner. We held for 350 guests in order to get some money for our farming school and for the Chinampas. And I think his speech was amazing, because he said, we now don't have the ingenuity we had 15 years ago, where he thought that he was going to save the Chinampas. But now we have the experience, and we know the only way forward is by collaborating and building a network and building community. It's hundreds and thousands of Arca Tierra similar projects that are going to get us out of this. And there's really a way. That's like the message I try to tell everyone when I give tours in the Chinampas, when I receive someone in Baldío, when I get invited to do a talk. I've changed the way I talk about the future, because it might sound a bit cliche and something, but it's if we don't imagine a better future and believe in it, we're never gonna get it.
Also, I think if you ask anyone in Mexico City about Xochimilco, most will say it's just going to the party barges, to the party boats. For us, it was also a revelation, that the Chinampas still exist. So just following what my brother was saying, there's this big disconnection, and in Mexico in particular, as a third world country or developing country, whatever we want to call it, we're still at this stage where peasant farming is most of the people that are born into rural families, they want to escape that reality because it's bad paid, because it's significantly frowned upon, and so there's this rural exodus, going to the United States, going to the cities, but then Xochimilco is inside Mexico City. So the people living there, who live in the neighborhoods, they can go and study, they can go and work in the city. So it's very, very complex. What we really hope is that we're reaching like this tipping point, knowing that the promises of the system have failed to deliver what we were supposed to get. And the Chinampa is this very, very powerful way of reconnecting, of recovering, and of restoring. So we have the immense luck of living in a city that still has a living and breathing system like the Chinampas.
Mm-hmm. Do you collaborate with the local government or the national government, or
right now we're starting to? We have in previous occasions nothing significant really, but now through our nonprofit we're working in like applied research, science, science climate mitigation, and what we're looking at, what we're striving for, is to, through the research we're doing with the university, with UNAM, the biggest university in Mexico, to provide the proof and the information for a government agency, the environmental agency in Mexico City, to give a payment for ecosystemical services to all Chinampero farmers, as long as they continue to practice a traditional form of agriculture, so that the effects of climate change won't make them as vulnerable to abandon farming, and also the market, the volatility of market won't threaten their existence. So we're excited about that. We're still in the first stages, but the government is showing interest, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yeah, that's super cool, and like it seems so obvious that this is something that needs supported. It's like right now, there's, as we speak, like half the world is in Brazil, like at COPE, debating all of these solutions. They're throwing all this, like wild money at, all these carbon projects and all this other stuff. And then there's like these simple solutions, like simple, straightforward things you can support that have so many different positive effects that, it just seems so obvious to me. And it like that baffles me. There's so many just direct ways to support the future climate, and yeah, it's crazy. And like this is it's such like I could just go on, but yeah, it's just like it baffles me that like there's been no one's really taken an interest before in this.
Yeah, I think like I said, the path is clear, like
yeah.
But the reality is that economic interests, the system works in a way that people that take the decisions of where the planet is heading, they're interested in capital accumulation. And we can go in this subject for hours. But as Lucio said also, it's like the system has failed. And I think many people have realized now that it's happening. I don't know how fast change will come, but of course, now in Brazil, they're almost saying like we need to accept this new reality and we need to adapt. But the rich are the billionaires are getting trillionaires, and the poor are dying. So it's just crazy. I'm baffled as you are. It's something I just can't get into my mind. But as I said, it has to come from the bottom up. bottom upward.
Yeah. Like, how do we do that though? Like, how do we go outside the system? How do we create a new system where, what they're all saying and doing, when, there's more of us than them. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's more of us in the world that really believe in, a positive future, and that believe that, obviously climate change is real, and we believe in the solutions that are right out in front of us. Like, how do we come together and change that?
So I think you need to have a reference, no, for what you want to go to.
Yeah.
And for us, as for many other peoples and movements, it's done through agriculture and through eating. The power of those two industries and activities, and and more specifically for us, is peasant farming. And my brother and I say peasant, knowing full well that in English it has negative connotations.
Mm-hmm.
In what way? Is to say that climate change is only the symptom, and if we focus on the science of it, and we're missing the point. The real crisis is a cultural crisis, and we need a model of a culture crisis, because in terms of technical solutions and scientific solutions, as Pablo was saying, we already know them, um, but as long as it doesn't make money, then it's not going to be supported, and we already know that. So the model we propose is peasant farming, but not only in its way of farming, but also in its cultural values, in contentment, in set boundaries, in cycles, in generosity, in giving back, in community, in respecting the mystery of life. Obviously, it's easy to over romanticize that, and also
Mm-hmm.
from the city, with coming from privilege, we don't want to fall in that category. But we also can create a new world going back to those values of the peasantry, but incorporating many things that the peasantry has been lacking, like autonomy, like political power, different ways of organizing, other ways of culture. So I think we do have the references and the inspiration and the movements. So that, yeah, then the question is, how do we make this more mainstream? Because we have the impression that this is only like a very small group of people talking about, or in very poor countries that it happens because of necessity, not because of choice. I don't think there's an answer to that. I think that all of us are doing what we can, and we have to have faith, at the end.
Yes, and I think, as you said, there are more of us than them. That's a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
We're starting to see many good changes worldwide. I know the feeling now, it's a lot of despair of what's going on worldwide, but there are some glimpses of faith going on, even in the US, in Mexico as well. And I also think that we should also start to think locally in many ways, because if we just start thinking globally, how we will change everything, it just becomes overwhelming, and you fall into this powerless apathy mode that you just completely stuck and paralyzed in a way. But it's a very difficult question. Like, if most of us know there is a way, and it's not inventing something new. Most of us know that we could have a better planet, better society, better community. Why it's not going on? I mean, I think the system that we've lived in, the capitalist system we've lived in, is beginning to show some cracks, and I think it will take longer than it should, but it's beginning to feel this movement. I really think so.
I totally agree. Like, I didn't want to sound dire or anything, but I agree. I think we're going to change shit, and I think like what you guys are doing is showing there are examples out there, that have existed for 2,000 years that should be the models, and they will be the models. I think maybe there's should be chinampas in the Great Lakes. I don't know, but but maybe there are these solutions like that we just have to kind of think a little bit out of the box. We need to take chances and risk and not let all the shitty people in the world bring us down, because they're trying to, and like now they have algorithms that are making us feel worse than it should. And it's like we have to like be smart and talk about this shit, and people will listen. I think they will. Like, maybe not right away, but I think little by little they are listening, and there are cracks showing in the system, and yeah, I have hope.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't know. For instance, Baldío, in a big way, we opened a restaurant because we know we weren't planning on opening a restaurant. Of
Yeah.
course, we met Dog and we met Max, and the zero waste system with the network we have just became something so interesting and beautiful to do that we did it. But it's also because we know restaurants have a lot of attention, and many of them, or most of them, have the least impact, and it's how can we have a bigger impact. I'm not saying Baldío will change the restaurant industry, but I'm pretty sure it will have an impact, and it will make other young chefs, young cooks, even people that have been working in Baldío open new places with the same ethos, with the same culture. And it's mainly showing that there is a way, there is a different way, and it's a profitable way, it's a delicious way, it helps communities around. So we're in the food industry, and we really think that peasants are the key to prevent what's going on. So, and we also think that food plays a major role in what's going on. So we have the luck to try and have this impact through a restaurant. But in the other industries, I think there are many ways to have an impact. You don't need to be in the food industry to change how people are starting to think and how to move into the right direction. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember you asking this question when, do we need another fucking restaurant? And I will say no. But one other way of seeing that is like, well, if we do, it's a restaurant that will give a different example, or that it will show a different way, so that the ones that are already there maybe change their practices. Because one of the things that I keep just thinking about the food industry is how many restaurants that are doing poorly in so many ways can improve and actually just not open more, just make the ones that exist really better. And yeah, I mean, if this, like a model like the one you have can give that example, that's great. And another thing that I was thinking is this, like, we and them, which is kind of the divide between, I think philosophically has the same challenge than the urban rural. It's like, how can we build bridges between them, whoever them are, and what is the common ground, and how those other people that feel hopeless or remain ignorant or are scared can see hope in these practices. So I think, I know you have worked on a definition of a campesino, peasant, and I wonder if part of the work is to start defining the role of the urban habitant, and to empower those people. What you do matter, no matter what your political choice is. What you do matter. I this MAHA movement in the US, which is Make America Healthy Again, which, polemical as everything, and we are not going to get into that. But there are some principles there that I'm sure have a common ground with these things, as, immensely different as they look. So it's a big challenge, it's boring, it's annoying, but I think that's part of the work too. It's like what every person should feel empowered to, independently of other choices. Because it's very basic, it's our task as humans. And so, not to be naive, but I think that's part of the job, building these bridges. And as you say, not coming from a privileged educated or, vision of, which is, not only a risk, but also it's kind of a duty to make this more mainstream when you have that sort of illumination or clarity, right? Not you guys, but everyone that can work on this. So I don't know, just to add more challenges.
I think that the rural urban divide is really really complex, and I'm sure there are some experts regarding this subject, but from a certain point of view, urban life, seems to be that all we do has a negative impact, on the environment, how we dress ourselves, how we transport ourselves, what we eat, how we heat our houses, whatever, so there's this temptation of saying let's re-ruralize the world, so that's, as my brother was saying, that we humans can go back to forming part of the life processes of nature, but that is a naive solution or answer, because most of the world is moving towards urban cities. So then there's like this basic principles that we see very clearly now. That is the redistribution of power and wealth, so that maybe no one will afford to live as luxuriously as some people live today, but more people can live in a better way. So people like Jason Hickel, that have very powerful researches towards how we can distribute wealth and technology that we could benefit most people and not only a few. So it's nothing impossible, if we look at it, those, at least not yet. The thing is that we do have a time factor, that we need to start moving, because otherwise it's gonna get harder and harder. The social erosion goes with the climate, the environmental erosion. So I think one of the questions is, what do we have to wait for, to start moving in a much swifter way?
You bring up one interesting thing about, like the world getting hotter and hotter. How resilient are the Chinampas? Like in terms of just, dealing with like changing climate, irregular weather. I would assume they're probably more resilient than any other growing pattern.
It's a great question, Nick. We're actually doing the climate risk assessment.
Okay.
First of all, the Chinampas, the water used to come from two rivers. I'm talking about more than 100 years ago.
Okay.
Two rivers and many, many springs. Now the rivers have been diverted, so more than 90% of the water comes from treatment plants.
Okay.
So it happened once during New Year, like 7 years ago, that one of the pipes broke, and just 4 or 5 days, you could see the level fall dangerously, so some canals weren't navigable, so the main risk is water, water management, and it's getting drier, this part of the world.
Hmm.
We're getting water from very far away places now. So if there's a hydrological crisis, the chinampas will disappear. Then at a more farming scale, they're like this uh, unusual or out of season frosts. I remember
Okay.
in 2004 we had a frost. I think it was like the 6th of April, like a very very bad frost.
Okay.
We have hailstone like typically, and then in March, no, in April and May, we have like so much heat, that the plants do suffer, and have a very hard time. So, as you were suggesting, traditional ways of farming in the Chinampas build resilience, having the trees, having polycultures covering the soil, the canals, the different sizes of canals. All of these agricultural practices and designs make agriculture in the Chinampas more resilient. But the big problem is not just up to farmers now.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
global and a city problem.
Yeah, it's that complexity gives a resiliency. I think the
Yeah.
food industry, its biggest objective has been removing complexity and turning everything into commodity and making it simple and making simple monocultures with all the things we know that they put in them, these poisons. It's removing all the complexity and it's anti-resilient.
Yeah.
Is there something in the Baldío that has made you realize something different in terms of the entire project about Arca Tierra, or like something that has changed because of the restaurant, or that you have been more aware of, or what that has brought to the conversation, the restaurant, apart from the audience and making this visible?
So my brother will have a much more thorough answer. For me, the biggest surprise and what makes me more proud and happy is the work atmosphere. When you go to Baldío to eat, you can feel the motivation, the enthusiasm, the joy of everyone working there. In Mexico City, there's a lot of rotation in terms of people that work in restaurants, and I think we are one of the few exceptions because it's very purpose driven and it's very interesting for people who like about traceability and about agriculture. So that for me is the biggest thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I would agree that one of the biggest lessons of from Baldío is that there are many young chefs, many young people that are just waiting for an opportunity, and there aren't many to show
Yeah.
that they really care and they really give a shit about what's happening, and they want to transmit the message. And it's not only in traceability and zero waste and all the system; it's also showing that restaurants and food can be this vehicle, this platform for bigger things. Because I think the culture in Baldío is a consequence of most of the team knowing, or almost all the team knowing, that we're doing something bigger than ourselves and bigger than a restaurant. And of course, on the more technical things, just realizing how big of a tool using ancestral methods of fermentation, maybe koji that comes from Japan,
Hmm.
and all the things we have in Mexico. It's not new, but we're doing things that have been done for the first time ever.
Hmm.
Like something as simple as putting koji into pulque, or using Mexican
What?
ingredients. It's
Go ahead and go.
it's just finding new ways that we can make food not only more delicious, but finding new ways on how we can use the ingredients as a whole and waste less. So it's just showing that it has showed me that it is possible. It's not only a wild dream that Doug McMaster had 12 years ago. It's something that it's really, really possible and profitable as well.
what happens when you put koji in poke?
But
when the team told me they were doing it, I thought it was just like it's one of those interesting things, but
Yeah.
I'm not very sure it will turn out good. But it's so good that I told them that we should give away koji to pulquerias so that they can put
Yeah.
koji in the pulque because it changes the texture a lot and it gives this floral taste. We're using this
Okay.
of koji that's supposedly grown to make a sake. So it brings this sake similar texture and the floral flavor of the koji. So it's
Okay.
just one
In
extremely simple example.
in poke is normally just wild yeast, right? Just like
Yes, pulque is a
Yeah.
spontaneous fermentation of the like the honey water that comes from the
Okay.
heart from the bottom of the agave. They just put it in a bathtub with a starter, and it ferments extremely fast. I mean, if you don't have pulque in the exact moment it's ready, it starts turning sourish and cheesy and lacking very fast. And then the tactic or the thing we do in Mexico is that we put fruit or other ingredients on the pulque so you can give it another life. And in this experimentation of putting hundreds of fruits and different herbs and everything on pulque, they came up with the idea of the koji, and it's koji with cardamom. It's the mixture we have. That's
Okay.
the pulque we're serving in Baldío. So it's this excitement of it stimulates the team in all the right direction because it's creating something new, using techniques that are ancestral, and showing that there is a path forward through the knowledge we already have in our heads.
Yeah, no, it's something that can be shared easily, and that's incredible.
How was the collaboration with Douglas McMaster? How was he in detail, day to day?
He's our partner in Baldío.
Yeah.
Through a project he has called Silo Systems with Max. It's Max and Doug. Max used to be head chef in Silo, and he came to a wedding in Mexico. It's actually Richard Harta and Henrietta. And we took him to the Chinampas. Like Lucio and myself, we followed Silo and Doc's work, and it was really an inspiration.
But it was Henrietta who told us.
It was Henrietta. Henrietta was the matchmaker.
And she told us there's this friend of mine coming to our wedding, but they got married, Richard and Henrietta, like on the 28th of December, so
Okay.
we didn't go. But we were so keen on meeting Doug. He went before with a friend of hers, and we were outside Mexico City, and he was like, okay, this is the place I was going with Henrietta's friends. And our mission was to convince him to give us a consultancy on zero waste. And when he went to the Chinampas, he was like so astounded that he told us, I want to open a restaurant here. We're like, can you give us a consultancy? No, let's open the restaurant together. It was.
But did you want him to help you with waste on the farm?
No, we were already on with the plans of opening the restaurant.
Okay.
And it was going to be a very ingredients cultural based restaurant. No, we wanted to know about zero waste, thanks to Henrietta who told us about Douglas.
Yeah, and when he came in, everything changed. It became from being something extremely simple to doing this project now Baldío, and we met him in January, and we opened in August. So you can imagine how crazy it was. I mean, when we opened Baldío, of course we were not ready, but we had the lease on, we were paying rent. It was a roller coaster ride that, but it was all worth it, really. And now Baldío, after 1 year, it has this identity that you get with time. Some restaurants never get it. Some restaurants get it in a couple of years, 3-4 years. Now I think Baldío has this identity because we have this young Mexican chefs with a head of fermentation that comes from the UK, and it's Mexican food. It's like Mexican food as prepared in a way that no one has ever tried before, because we have a zero waste closed loop system.
Mhm.
So it's familiar to Mexicans, but at the same way, it's completely new. And it's just getting more exciting each week.
Fermentation is, like every modern restaurant in the world talks a lot about fermentation now. But why is it so essential in a zero waste restaurant?
Yeah, that's an extremely good question, because, of course, thanks to Noma and other amazing projects, fermentation has become extremely fashionable. And I really think some chefs use it as a showing off technique. It also gives amazing flavors and textures. But
Of course,
in
yeah.
our case, in Baldío, the most important use for fermentation is using scraps and discarded ingredients from our same main dishes,
Mhm.
processes, fish bones, innards, meat bones, and turn them into delicious flavors, whether it's misos, garums, shoyus. So Doc says Koji is a golden gateway to zero waste. I thought at the beginning it was a bit of an exaggeration, but now that we have Chris, that he's the head of fermentation, that's the only thing he does. And his mindset is exactly this one. It's not only creating fermentation for flavors, but it's to close a loop. I realized that it's completely true. And I realized that fermentation has this power to convert ingredients that would have I don't know, like the stems from a broccoli or from you can turn them into amazing things just by fermenting them. And we're not inventing something, we're just using it in different ways. So fermentation in Baldío, it's mainly a tool for zero waste, and as a consequence, as a second consequence, it gives amazing flavors and textures into food.
Yeah, what's like fermentation, like so many examples of fermentation historically, like on Earth, were not for flavor, right? I mean, it was for preservation, for controlling the food, and whether it's chicha in the Andes, it was for preserving that harvest for a longer time and not letting it spoil. And it's just another solution that was right there in front of us for so long, in we've just started talking about it again, in a wider way. But yeah.
And I mean, some people ask, you're in Mexico City, you have all this diversity, why wouldn't you serve everything fresh without preservation, fermentation? But once you run a restaurant, you realize how much food can end up, in the best case scenario, in compost, in the normal, usual case, in the bin. It's around 30 to 35% in a normal restaurant.
Which is insane.
Which is insane.
That's a ton of food.
That's a ton of
like
food.
Even a small restaurant, that's a ton of food.
That's a ton of food. And forget about sustainability. Think about business. It's like you're throwing delicious food into the bin, and you start thinking it's just a lack of imagination in many ways, and just status quo is normal. You can throw. I even saw the first episode of the new Michelin star series in Netflix, and within the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes, there's this angry chef, shouting to the chef in the kitchen, and he throws, I don't know how many tons of fried chicken into the bin. But the Netflix series shows it as if it was something cool. That's how. It's just fucking crazy. And then you realize that, for instance, in Baldío we're using the central part of the corn and the how do you say the las hojas?
The husk, the threads.
We turn it into corn vinegar, and we have 600 liters of corn vinegar, and we're starting to sell the corn vinegar to other restaurants because it's just delicious. And they say, like, how are you doing it? And it's not that difficult. You do need space and some technique, but it's not that difficult.
Yeah. Like these are just business opportunities that somebody could make all over Mexico or wherever. It's like you're just it's pretty incredible, and like I know hopefully people do start learning from what you guys are doing there. Like I can't imagine it not having an impact already. Just people seeing, because there's as I've written about often, just so much bullshit sustainability talk going on in the restaurant world for so many years, and I think people see right through it now, and they know they know what's real and what's not, and and I think it's clear what you guys are doing, and I think it like comes through as you sit down and eat, and you kind of understand that, and you can't just
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, as Lucio was saying, it has to feel amazing to just like step in a restaurant that is zero waste. That in itself has
yeah
to feel amazing.
Yeah,
Just, the moment you're there. It's just a
no,
different
but just to eat
way of
there,
existing. Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
feels good.
it needs to be delicious. It's like the first rule. If
Yeah.
it isn't delicious, it has no impact or long lasting impact because we will close restaurants within. But it's as you were saying, there's so many bullshit around sustainability in restaurants and awards around sustainability, and they're not taking it seriously. But now people are starting to realize because there's more information, and
hmm
even the word like the term farm to table, like people are a bit tired of listening to that.
yeah
But now because now every restaurant is a farm to table, but
yeah But
I
every restaurant was always farmed. Like everything is grown. Like even if it's a shitty farm, it's being grown at a farm. Even if it's a factory farm, it's a farm. Like it's so misleading. This label.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just going back to the last detail in
Yeah,
fermentation, it's like a tepache. In Mexico, the first tepaches were made with
yeah,
corn and with pineapple, but it's not the pineapple per se. It's the skin. It's the outer part
yeah,
of the pineapple that's full of yeast. So that's another zero waste technique that has
yeah.
been using for thousands of years, for hundreds of
And
years.
it's standard. It's like that's how tepache's been made in Mexico always, right? Like nobody uses a full pineapple, do they?
Nobody.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
How hard was to translate for Douglas McMaster all these? Like the technique, did you find that was like the principles were the same, even if the products were different? Like you found a common system of, fermentation, and it works more or less the same for products, even if they differ in different parts of the world.
It took us some time to get that proper, to not get lost in translation between Mexican culture ingredients and Doug with his silo system. But
Yeah.
the system per se, like the fermentation part of it, works very similar, very very similar because it's the same principles that Koji uses. It's starch, it's sugar, it's
Okay.
but in the other part of the business, like how Mexico works logistically, it's a whole different universe than Europe. It's and the foreign chefs that we've had in Baldío, they learn it the tough way because
Yeah.
I remember we received last week the RU scholarship team. They win an award, and they're 40 chefs. It was like 20 of them, and we brought them to the lab, to the prep center, and one of them asked, how do you keep consistency in Baldío? How do you deal with consistency? And Chris's response was, we're not aiming for consistency. We're striving for inconsistency because one, we're dealing with nature as direct as possible, and we don't have the same ingredient any week. Secondly, we deal with fermentation and with changes in temperature, in everything. It's just the way it is. And thirdly, we live in Mexico City, and in Mexico sometimes it doesn't work as it should, but it's the way it works. No, sometimes you order some ingredients and they don't arrive the way you thought they were going to arrive, or maybe you asked for some meat, but the butcher, the farm didn't have that part of the cow, so it sends you something different, and you need to adapt. If you think you're gonna get consistency working with local, organic, regenerative producers, then you're just going to turn the other way and you're going to take the easy way and buy from the central market. And that's the way it is. So it's not consistent.
Yeah. I just have one, like, I could talk to you guys all day, but I have one just very random question I wanted to ask. But axolotls, the animal, the amphibian, that the chinampas are the very last place they live, right? In the wild. That's true, right?
No, not Nick. It's not true.
Oh, it's not?
They are not endangered because they are living in many labs throughout the world.
Right. But in the wild, are they only in the chinampas still?
They haven't seen axolotls for a while. I mean, there's like this assumption that there's still some, and however, we have other types of varieties of axolotls in other parts of Mexico.
Okay.
The one in Xochimilco is the black one, but there are parts in Michoacán or in other parts of Mexico that we still have them.
Okay.
The thing is that there's so many tilapias, and carps that they just eat everything.
Okay. Regardless, my question was, what is their ecological function?
They are.
Do they have an ecological function?
Yes, they are a keystone species, Like in the trophic chain, they are at the top, So they control many of the other species. So that for biologists, they are a bioindicator. There are some projects and farmers that we know that they filter their small canals so they can breed some axolotls there. And it used to be also a delicacy. Used to be eaten.
Okay.
So we hope it can go back.
And of course, it has this. It used to be a god, so it has also this religious, mythological value as well. So yeah, axolotls are huge for Mexicans in many ways.
Yeah, but I just wonder, like that, like maybe there's something of them coexisting with humans and farming, and the chinampas. Maybe there's some symbiotic connection there that just hasn't been discovered. I don't know. Maybe I was hoping maybe there was one, but
I
it
think
just
it was mostly food and the cultural significance. That they were they were farmed. They were
okay.
Yeah, the Chinamperos also were stewards of axolotls.
All right. Well, still cool. Julie, any last questions?
No, this is so fascinating and work in progress. I just look forward to visiting one day. And
of course.
No, congratulations. I mean, thank you for doing all this.
No, thank you. Thank you for doing your work. I'm a huge fan of what you're doing. Really, I've been following you for a while, and I think it's very rare to find publications and efforts as yours that are really talking about what matters, but in a way that it's authentic, with no strings attached to anyone. Just like this is.
Yeah, well, we try. Yeah, it's not the most economical way of doing things, but it's like we try. Yeah.
But we are not money oriented.
No, it's a big honor
That's
for us
fine.
Yeah. No, real pleasure, and I'll definitely come visit next time I'm in town.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Show you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.